a million times. And welcome to this unboxing of Flames of War Late War Soviet Unit cards. On the back of the box, it says it contains 58 unit cards with all the statistics and rules you need to bring your armies into Flames of War version 4. Now, currently, there are books mostly for the Desert War at the time of this video, which is the mid-war 42-43, but the Battlefront guys have also published a book called Armies of Late War version 4, which is a very easy way for new players, if they're not into the deserts of North Africa, and they want to get into the late war 44-45, this is the way to get in. And these unit cards, they first came out with this, Battlefront first came out with this in Team Yankee, and apparently that turned out to be a hit. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to open up and see what we've got on the inside. Okay, absolutely, it's shrink wrapped. So let's go ahead and let's open that up here. All right, well, the first thing that they have on the top of this are the Soviet forces. Up to this point right now, you can take 4 formations. There are 4 different kinds of formations you can have. They've made it a little bit different in version 4 compared to version 3, where in version 3, you took one type of company, and that was it. Now they've changed the terminology, so now you have formations. So if you wanted, you could take an IS-2 tank regiment and have its headquarters unit and 2 corps formations. You could also take a rifle battalion formation with its HQ and 2 corps units if you have the points for it. And then that allows you to buy support units that are on both sides. So this is one of the things that the Flames of War guys have decided to make it somewhat more flexible in terms of putting things together. Now, on the back, it will also tell you the different possible support units that are available to your force, anywhere from 0 to 1 or 2, depending. And of course, there's the wild card, which they really haven't talked about wild cards yet. But that doesn't matter because we're here for the unit cards. Now again, for a player new to Flames of War, this is really nice because you get all the information from the movement rates based on tactical, terrain dash, cross-country dash, road dash, and the cross number, the weapons that the tank has, including the ranges, the rate of fire for halted, for moving, the anti-tank value, and the firepower, and if there are any particular special rules that are there. On here, you've got the armor value from the front, and then there's the later version of the IS-2 for the front late, the side, and the top. It's hit on an aggressive, 3+, okay. Motivation is fearless, 3+, and the skill is trained. Now, the thing about the motivation, this represents guards units. These are not your regular guys yet, because they're fearless trained. This tells me that this is Soviet guards. Now, this is an HQ unit, which on the back, it will tell you how many you can include in your HQ unit, which is a big whopping 1 tank. But it also tells you what formations that you can take and any special rules. So again, they denote it by the HQ that's written up here. So in the process, you have also, let me adjust this a little bit. I'm not putting it too close because the idea is that you're not supposed to, really see this. You got to go buy this stuff if you will. But guys, this is, if you have the Armies of Late War book, then you have all this information here. It's just, this is just the cards for it. So here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 IS-2 tank companies. Okay, and again, it gives you the how many you can have in the company. That is the difference between the late and the regular. Okay, and then the special rules as far as what. Then they have the Churchill Regiment. So this is the HQ for the Churchill Regiment. Okay, Lend-Lease. So then you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can have up to 4 platoons of Churchills. Okay. With that, then you have a T-34-85 HQ. You have a T-34-76 HQ. Okay. This is like staples of the Russian army. So you have 1, 2, 3 companies of T-34-85 cards, because that's what each card represents. Now, honestly, I think you could survive with just 1 card of each type. But if you were to go and, let's say, partner with somebody, that would be a useful thing to have. And then here we have 1, 2, 3 T-34s. Okay. Then you have Valentine's. Again, another Lend-Lease tank for the Russians. Okay. And then you have the Tank Rider Company, which, well, you know, Russian tanks, they needed support, and tank riders were it. It made it a lot harder for the Germans to take out the Russian tanks that way, with the infantry riding on the tanks themselves. The ZIS Anti-Tank Company, okay, you got the choice of the 57 or the 76. The advantages and disadvantages, the 57's got a higher rate. They have a higher anti-tank, but their firepower is a little bit lower as opposed to the 76, which has a lower anti-tank rating. So that depends. But the 76, not in this game, but in real life, it could also double as a howitzer, you know, firing artillery support. And here's another card for it. And here's another card for it. Now, this is a nice one here. The anti-aircraft platoon. Again, here, what's nice about these cards is that those special rules that they have in there, they put it on there. But this is fairly standard on here. Rifle Battalion HQ, True Stroke, a Strelkovy Battalion. Oh yeah, very much. And a true Russian commander does not flinch in the face of casualties. But with a Rifle Battalion, you can take an awful lot of things, which is really, really cool. Okay? So, you also have the Battalion Commissar. Very useful character when you need to get the job done. Then you have the Rifle Company, which again, it could be a Rifle MG team or an SMG team. You also have a Commissar team. You also have the Maxim HMG team. So you got a lot there. 1, 2, 3. 3 rifle companies right there. SMG company, okay. You get 1. Flamethrower company, oh yeah. Flamethrowers have changed in the various editions, okay. PTRD, this is the anti-tank rifle, which today, if you think about modern day sniper rifles, that they are of a larger caliber, their grandfathers were in fact anti-tank rifles. At this point of the war for the Russians, the anti-tank rifle was great against lighter vehicles, armored cars, half-tracks, trucks, Kubelwagens, but really not particularly great against tanks because the tanks have had thicker armor. And this is a limit. There's a limit to the anti-tank value of an anti-tank rifle. Machine gun company, again, can be really nasty when you are defending against an infantry attack. Mortars. Oh, mortars. Mortars can be a lot of fun. Okay. So you got the 82 millimeter mortar. Now, the 120 millimeter mortar, wow, what can I say? It is more devastating than the 82 millimeter mortar. And it works. It does work. I've played that on the table. 76 millimeter Regiment Gun Company. Now, organizations for the Russians is a little bit different. Okay, so do keep that in mind, that when they say platoons in the Western armies in Russia, it's the company. So when they say the company in German and British and American, here in Russian they say battalion. That's just the way they operate. So infantry gun, 45 millimeter anti-tank gun, really useful, nice to have. Again, Russians are fairly straightforward on this. Scout platoon, fearless veterans. These are the guys you don't want to mess with. Okay. OT-34. OT, it's, in other words, this is a flame-throwing tank. And it still has the 76 millimeter gun, but it also has a flamethrower attached to it. Okay. So again, this can be fairly nasty. BA-64, your recon car, okay, nice to have. It can be armed with a machine gun or an anti-tank rifle. Su-76, yeah, that's a very classic in the Russian army. In fact, we've got 2 of them for the Russian army. Then we have the Su-85. When the Russians encountered the Tiger, it was time to upgrade the guns. So what did they do? They mounted a bigger gun on the T-34 chassis, and thus came the Su-85, which, ladies and gentlemen, was a little bit different, because what happened was that they also upgraded to a 100 millimeter gun on there to make the Su-100. Now, there's also the heavy assault gun called the ISU, which could be with the 122 millimeter gun or the 152 millimeter gun. So sometimes they're going to get more than one weapon on the card. Okay. And then the 100 millimeter anti-tank gun. And here's the 76 millimeter ZIS-3 artillery battery. Okay. And you got another one. And then you have the 122 millimeter battery. Okay, so you get 2 of those. Then you get the 152 millimeter battery. Again, you get 2 of those. Then you have the Guards rocket mortar battery. Think rocket launchers. Just devastating. Called Stalin's organs. German infantry did not like it. They've talked about how it shook the earth when those rockets would hit. In fact, it's still used. The basic rocket launcher is still used in different parts of the world today. So you get 2 of those cards. You also get the infantry observer card as well. So again, with the conversion from version 3 to version 4, now you only have 1 observer for your artillery units in Flames of War. So in theory, you should be able to call in more than 1 battery, but we'll see. I have not played the Russians quite yet. 37 millimeter anti-aircraft company. And then, last but not least, Russian air support, the Sturmovik. Yeah, this is a hard one. You got choices of cannon, bombs, or rockets. Really, really nasty stuff here. Did wreak some havoc on the German columns. Okay, so this is it. This is the Flames of War Russian unit cards. So again, I would say if you are new to Flames of War, this is a very easy way to transition. If you're a veteran of Flames of War and you don't want to bother with 3rd edition, this is the way to go. It's pretty easy. Now, the lists are not as historically specific like during different campaigns like Bagration or, the Fight for Berlin, or like lists that you would encounter in something like Desperate Measures, for example. But it does cover quite a bit. It's a nice generic lists. You've got the unit cards for that, and I think it's a benefit. All right. I'm hoping that this benefited you guys. Again, this is just a passion that I enjoy sharing. I don't buy, I'm not given these things to review. I just buy it on my own, and I open it up and I call it like I see it. Hope this review benefits you, and goodbye and God bless.